I think my one skill is that I'll outwork anybody. Like, I'll work harder.
My wife is an addict, and by addict I mean like a crack addict.
He's one of Hollywood's most respected actors, an Oscar winner, a box office draw, a critical darling. But behind the charm and professionalism lies a reputation for something else: conflict. From behind-the-scenes battles to clashing creative philosophies, these 6 actors found themselves in serious tension, with Matt Damon.
It's hunting season.
Today we dive into 6 tense relationships that reveal a side of Matt Damon you may not have seen before. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know.
Does Ma know that Carol and I broke up?
Hey, we didn't break up with her. Besides, we didn't know you were coming home this weekend, did we?
First up is perhaps the most personal story of all. Casey Affleck. For decades, the Damon-Affleck clan was seen as Hollywood's tightest-knit circle. Matt, Ben and Casey, 3 hometown boys from Boston who made it big. A brotherhood both on and off the screen. Casey Affleck wasn't just a friend. He was family, the younger brother of Matt's best friend, someone who grew up in the same orbit, in the same dreams. But things changed. As Affleck's career hit a high point with Manchester by the Sea, a storm was brewing. Allegations of misconduct surfaced, casting a shadow over his rising star and creating a rift that few saw coming. Behind the scenes, Damon reportedly became increasingly uncomfortable. Insiders say he quietly distanced himself, opting out of Affleck's award season campaign and avoiding joint appearances altogether. Even more telling were the strategic choices behind the camera. According to multiple producers, Damon's team began steering him away from future collaborations with Casey, citing public perception and professional liability. One producer close to both actors summed it up perfectly. Matt's professionalism eventually outweighed his personal loyalties. It was a turning point. What was once an unshakable bond between lifelong friends became a quiet, unresolved fracture, one that continues to shape both of their careers today.
Anybody there? Say, brother, why don't you have a look around and make sure there's no French soldiers anywhere?
Next, we turn to one of the most combustible pairings on a Hollywood set, the explosive tension with Russell Crowe. In 2007, Ridley Scott brought together 2 acting heavyweights for Body of Lies, Matt Damon and Russell Crowe. But what looked like a casting coup on paper quickly turned into a creative powder keg. Matt Damon approached the project the way he approaches all his work, with deep preparation, analytical notes, and a precise vision of character arcs and story logic. Russell Crowe, by contrast, is famously instinctive. He thrives on gut feeling, emotional immediacy, and, at times, confrontation. From the start, their creative philosophies clashed. Damon pushed for clarity, structure, and collaboration. Crowe, he pushed back, resisting rewrites, challenging direction, and viewing Damon's suggestions as overreaching. Crew members described the mood as icy. Between scenes, the 2 stars rarely spoke. No camaraderie, no behind-the-scenes bonding, just quiet tension and professional distance. When the film wrapped, there were no glowing interviews, no stories of on-set friendship. In fact, there hasn't been a single public collaboration since. The aftermath? Total separation. Damon and Crowe haven't worked together since. And if you look closely, not a single public compliment has passed between them.
You said I'd be saving American lives.
You were.
I was killing for you. For them.
Jeremy Renner and Matt Damon's friction played out more quietly. But make no mistake, the tension was very real. When Damon briefly stepped away from the Bourne franchise, Jeremy Renner was tapped to carry the torch. On the surface, it looked like a natural handoff, but behind the scenes, a very different story was unfolding. Damon, always the strategist, is known for evaluating every role through the lens of long-term impact on both his brand and his body of work. To him, a franchise is a chessboard. Renner, on the other hand, is all about emotional authenticity. He dives into roles with a method actor's obsession, seeking rawness, not marketing potential. Industry insiders say the 2 actors clashed during early talks about a possible crossover or sequel. Damon raised questions about franchise longevity, audience response, and financial trajectory. Renner pushed for darker, more intimate storytelling. The tension never exploded publicly, but it was loud behind closed doors. In fact, sources say both actors' teams worked quietly behind the scenes, making sure they never ended up in direct competition for the same roles again. In the end, it wasn't about ego, it was about incompatible philosophies. Damon plays the long game, Renner plays the truth. Still ahead, the generational collision that made Shia LaBeouf and Matt Damon completely incompatible.
Tried to rule Earth.
They'd be lucky to have you.
I'm sorry about that thing with the Tesseract. I just couldn't help myself. I know. I'm a trickster. Yes.
Now to one of Hollywood's most unpredictable forces, Shia LaBeouf. A man known as much for his acting talent as for the chaos that often surrounds it. Matt Damon is Hollywood's gold standard for professionalism. Punctual, prepared, and protective of his image. Shia LaBeouf? He's the polar opposite, a performance artist trapped in a movie star's world. During early talks for a gritty independent drama in the mid-2010s, their two worlds collided. Damon came in with notes, story structure, and a vision of collaboration. LaBeouf wanted to throw out the script and improvise everything. According to insiders, Damon was immediately put off by LaBeouf's disregard for traditional storytelling, calling it, quote, counterproductive to meaningful cinema. It wasn't just creative friction. Damon, who values quiet credibility, reportedly grew concerned about being linked to LaBeouf's increasingly erratic public persona. Privately, his team began steering clear. Damon's reps are said to have requested behavior reports on other cast members before signing on to any ensemble projects. A move many believe was directly tied to LaBeouf's reputation. Since then, the two have occupied completely different Hollywood ecosystems. One defined by control, the other by chaos. And from the looks of it, that's exactly how they both want it. Up next, when two of Hollywood's smartest actors went head-to-head in a battle of brains, Matt Damon versus Edward Norton.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but at least I won't be unoriginal. But I mean, if you have a problem like that, I mean, we could just step outside, we could figure it out.
Oh man, there's no problem. It's cool.
It's cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
What happens when two of Hollywood's smartest actors compete for the same space, and neither is willing to back down? Matt Damon and Edward Norton both burst onto the scene in the late 90s, redefining what it meant to be a thinking man's movie star. They weren't just actors, they were architects of the story. But beneath the public respect was a quiet and very real rivalry. Both men are deeply involved in their work. Damon is methodical, collaborative, loyal to structure. Norton, a self-styled auteur who's known to rewrite scripts, challenge directors, and reshape entire narratives. Throughout the early 2000s, the two were often considered for the same dramatic roles, complex, intellectual men with something to prove. The industry watched as they circled similar projects, but never shared the screen. Damon plays within the system, refining the material, trusting the process. Norton, on the other hand, pushes. He challenges authority, often clashing with producers and rewriting scripts to suit his vision. Behind closed doors, producers described them as brilliant but incompatible. Damon reportedly grew frustrated with what he saw as Norton's tendency to overcomplicate, while Norton questioned Damon's loyalty to tradition. There was never a blow-up, no tabloid headlines, just a silent understanding. These two were playing the same game with very different rulebooks. In the world driven by ego, Damon and Norton didn't need to feud publicly. Their rivalry lived in casting decisions, creative control, and the unspoken tension of knowing the other guy was always just one step away. And finally, what happens when method collides with mischief? Matt Damon versus Reynolds coming up next.
Year.
What?
What year is it?
What kind of dumbass question is that to ask?
Where Reynolds saw opportunity for punchlines, Damon saw structure being undermined. Matt Damon's career has been defined by integrity, precision, and passion. But as we've seen, that level of commitment doesn't always play well with others. These 6 stories aren't just celebrity drama. They are windows into the complex ecosystem of Hollywood, where egos, ideologies, and artistic values collide behind closed doors. It wasn't always personal. In many cases, it was about the push and pull of how to tell a story. Damon favors structure, discipline, and narrative clarity. Others value instinct, chaos, or disruption. These tensions raise bigger questions. What makes someone difficult in an industry built on collaboration? Is it about personality or priorities? Where's the line between professionalism and control? In the end, Matt Damon remains one of the most respected actors of his generation. But as with any legacy built on excellence, there's bound to be friction along the way. Which of these behind-the-scenes conflicts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We read everyone. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more untold stories from inside the Hollywood machine. Because what happens off camera is just as fascinating as what ends up on screen.